it's become functionally easier than ever before to advertise ourselves to hundreds or thousands of people simultaneously. Hello, hello. And Danielle, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm blessed. So, how can I help you today?
I don't know. I was just listening to your lead into the conversation, and I know you're kind of keeping it like you're going to unravel it, bit by bit with the points. And I was listening to your point about the car and the traveling, having a similar goal to individuals, but having completely different operating plans. How they want to go about doing it. Um, and you were just mentioning like also what causes someone to like go into like attack mode, feeling like they're not feeling heard or pretty much like an essential need is not being met in that moment. So it puts them in like fight or flight type of thing is what I was getting from what you were
Hmm.
saying. um, but I guess if I had a question, I didn't really come with that type of agenda, but if I
Hmm.
had a question on this topic, like I'm thinking like, do you believe like these type of issues that like what you were describing is very common in a relationship, right?
Hmm.
Do you think these type of fights that we see today, these type of issues were even content or built into like romantic relationships by design in the past, meaning meaning like is the vehicle of a relationship even equipped to carry the type of things we're bringing to it as individuals, and putting on another person essentially to fulfill. Um, has the institution itself evolved or become as complex as the human mind has become? Like, I wonder if, like, the ancients even brought these type of issues to their partners, or not even
Hmm.
ancients. Let's go back a couple hundred years. Like, basically, what I'm
Hmm.
saying is, are these the reflection? These type of like little things that could turn into like huge major relationship problems, are
Hmm.
these things just more reflection of the complexity of the human mind and it's causing a lot of complications that now need to be dealt with that relationships were never necessarily built to or designed to handle?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate this
Mhm.
question. I'm going to say it's a little bit of both. The starting point is two human beings trying to do life together is always going to have some issues. There's always going to be disagreements, right? There's always going to be things that we're not super aligned with, different things that kind of trigger you that don't trigger me. Like that's just human nature. The reason why I say that it's somewhat true, that it's a little bit different more today than even before, is I think that as we become more and more modernized and as we've gotten more technology, I just think that there's more things that are simultaneously going on in our regular everyday lives that we can get distracted by, that we can get tempted by, that can have more influence in our relationships. So for example, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, uh, it wouldn't have been uncommon for men and women's greatest issues to probably be a very short wheelhouse of the same issues, either nagging, complaining, cleanliness, general just stuff, right? But today, as an example, I'll do male and female examples of what they potentially are now bringing into the relationship that 100 years ago may have not nearly been as bad or as significant of an issue. Number one would have been corn addiction. I'm obviously saying corn, which stands for something else in terms of adult related activities for those that are unaware, but like the ease of which we have these little devices where people who really, really struggle with lust, it's easier than ever before to see hundreds of thousands of people not only naked but doing sexual acts with the ease of a little device like this just wasn't available to 98% of human beings that's ever existed, right? And same device, whether it's a laptop, this between Amazon packages, between shopping addictions, between constant comparisons of what other people are doing or what their lives are looking like on social media or what this celebrity's saying or that celebrity's saying or this influencer is stating, you could imagine how that can trickle into a person's dissatisfaction in their relationship today. Now, does that mean that, people weren't dissatisfied in the past? I'm sure. In fact, I think that was probably a driving influence for why many moms and grandmothers may have told their daughters and their nieces and granddaughters growing up, don't get married, or it's good if you don't get married. They probably felt dissatisfied at one point. They probably felt unhappy and feeling like trapped in certain ways. So I think every single generation has general issues, general, things going on. And I'm one of those people that tends to believe that if you took the same exact laws of today and you took the same exact technology from today and you placed that at any point in human history, give it 20 years and they're going to start to look a lot similar to what it is that we have in our struggling and going with right now. Like if majority of human beings that's ever existed never had reproductive tools to be able to prevent pregnancy, like Plan B and all and was it Plan B, condoms, and all this host of things that we can use. Imagine if you had taken these forms of technology, these ways of kind of trying to change normal things that would happen with human beings. You place any of these things, both good and bad, into previous generations, they probably would be fairly similar too. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So, but in
Mhm.
that case, then so would you then agree like there's a lot that we're dealing with as man and woman, like off
Mhm.
rip, that now is being expected, like to address. If someone wants to feel understood, there's a lot of stuff going with the technology today.
Mhm.
So if it's me, if I'm
Mhm.
expecting you to really understand me with the technology today, with the lack of importance of religion today or spirituality or even reflection of nature because of the society we live in, just to be able to peep how things go. And then I'm bringing all of myself to another person who's also trying to figure out the same thing. And then I'm, like you said, with the car, I'm expecting a lot out of them to function as this vehicle called a relationship. I think it's a
Mhm.
lot. um, and then if you put like a certain type of people that have certain other complications that we're dealing with emotionally or politically, whatever you want to call it, I think that there's a reworking that needs to happen moving forward. There's a lot of
Yeah.
suppositions that aren't there anymore.
Yeah, so the con I would say is that as we've gotten more technology, we have gotten more lazy. Like we've gotten lazier. I acknowledge that. We've taken a lot of shortcuts and I'll give you an example. As it's become functionally easier than ever before to advertise ourselves to hundreds or thousands of people simultaneously. Dating apps,
Right.
social media, we can get ourselves out there. But people are
Mhm.
saying, although the technology is there and that's a capability, it's harder now for many people, stating it's harder now to find a relationship than ever before. We all have access to phones, devices, and people read less than when we didn't have these things. So there may be more of
Mhm.
like a counter. I would even argue because of cell phones, social media, dating apps, the it's changed our mindsets about optionality. It's made us probably less patient with sticking around and made us more prone to losing patience and being more open to going back out there more quickly, because in previous generations when we didn't have all these options, we may I would argue that maybe we had a variety of reasons for why we were much more likely to kind of lock in on sticking around versus what we have today, where it's like even the dating culture today, people have had date and mess around with so many people from middle school, high school, and beyond, to where you've had so much practice of leaving when things don't work or when you're unhappy that by the time you actually get married, you've practiced most of your entire adulthood in a huge segment of your teenage years, if you didn't marry your high school sweetheart, leaving. So these are some of the nuanced reasons I think more today. It could be logical reasons for why I think it's maybe intuitively, it should be easier for us to learn this stuff, know this stuff, and get it right. But I think that there's more distractions than ever before in multiple things, like you outlined, that could potentially be contributing to why it seems a little bit more difficult now than maybe it was even before.
Yes, and optionality being overabundant, I think wasn't what the ancients worked with. They worked with like families and like tribe, local dude up the street. Okay, he's available. Families connecting each other, and it seemed to work for up to a certain point. Like maybe before the industrial age, it just seemed
Mhm.
that limited optionality created an increase in appreciation for what one would expect out of a relationship. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you for letting me share.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in and enjoying, and thank you for supporting the channel. And
Yes,
I hope you and your other lady friends are finding some of this stuff is pretty meaningful.